Pay attention to this. You need to look at this.
Yeah.
Take a look at this layout in the middle of it. And get yourself so that you're viewing it from an angle where you're not, your view is being blocked by reflections. Now, the first question is, let me ask another question before I ask that one. Which end of this section is toward me?
Oh.
Don't say anything right away, though. So the question is, which end of the section is toward me?
Anterior.
Posterior.
How many vote for anterior?
Me.
Okay. How many vote for posterior?
Me.
How many abstain? Okay, that way is anterior. Right. Away from it. Now, what says that?
The worst.
What says it, Amanda?
Okay, smarty
How
pants.
do you know?
Say again?
Because the medial sulcus comes all the way down to that point.
What about that?
Medial longitudinal sulcus.
It's more towards. It's less. I mean.
Well, what is this? Leaving the parts aside, what is this whole layout in the middle over here?
That's the corpus callosum.
Yeah, the corpus callosum. Now, just note that there is one lobe in front of the corpus callosum and two lobes behind. So you see more brain behind the corpus callosum than you see in front of it. So this is just frontal lobe over here, but back here we have parietal then occipital lobes. So that says that this end is anterior. Okay, and just note that there's one lobe in front of the corpus callosum, but two lobes behind. So here is the parieto-occipital sulcus right there. So behind we have parietal and occipital lobes. Here in the front we have only frontal lobe. So you see more brain posteriorly than anteriorly. So that says that's anterior. And then that means that over here we have superior frontal gyrus and superior frontal sulcus. That repeats. Because the superior frontal gyrus actually turns down this way in the front of the brain, so it repeats at many horizontal levels. Now you should know the parts of this. People should be looking at this. Don't just stand off and engage in conversation. Now the question is, what is this? Don't answer right away.
Okay.
What is this? Over here. What is this? Okay. What is it? No. No. Now what's this whole U-bend over here?
No.
Body, the genu.
No.
The anterior.
Yeah.
I thought it was pelvis or something.
Well, if you want to use that construction, the second word begins with an F after anterior.
Frontal.
Forceps is the word.
Oh, forceps.
Yeah, forceps minor or anterior
He's
forceps.
lying to me.
That's here. And what is the function of the forceps minor or anterior forceps?
Anterior forceps minor.
See, the fibers are going this way. They're commissural for the prefrontal areas. It's a big horseshoe of axons connecting the prefrontal area in one hemisphere with the one in the other hemisphere and vice versa. So that's why it makes this bend. It has to wrap around the back of the longitudinal fissure over here. So here we have a big horseshoe of axons connecting these two prefrontal cortical areas. So it's commissural for the prefrontal cortex. Okay.
Commissural for the prefrontal cortex.
Yes. And then, so what is the genu? This is the forceps minor or anterior forceps, not the genu.
Okay.
The genu is a plane of medial sagittal section through the forceps minor. So if we slice this way and then turn half of this brain slice this way so we can see its medial edge, what we would see is a little bit of the genu. The genu is a medial sagittal cut through the forceps minor. So the plane of section that includes the genu is perpendicular to this plane. You see the genu and a medial sagittal hemisection.
But in this part is the anterior. Right here would be the anterior forceps minor.
Yeah, the anterior forceps or the forceps minor, and if you cut...
Well, no, just because it's saying it's the body of corpus callosum towards the genu, so it's just a different area.
Yeah, so that body of the corpus callosum is here.
See, they're pointing to it up here. The body of corpus callosum towards the genu is up here, like right where you're pointing.
Or
Yeah, but you know...
back here it says body of
Towards the
corpus splenum.
splenium,
So
and then
this,
here's the body, so it's not saying anything about the anterior.
Yeah, so actually, you just have to visualize that there's a big horseshoe of fibers over here, and I think his arrow is placed, or line is placed a little too far anteriorly. It should have been a little further posteriorly. Because you can see that where it is, it's in that horseshoe of these fibers that go from one prefrontal cortex to the other one. Okay? So via the forceps minor, the left prefrontal cortex knows what the right one is doing and vice versa. Okay. Now, so what's this?
that's the body.
Yeah, the body of the corpus callosum. There's the body of the corpus callosum. Now, what is this? Now, don't say anything right away, though. But since the image in Haynes is good, you'll spot this right away. What's this?
Forceps major.
Yeah, the forceps major or posterior forceps. And then a median sagittal cut through that
Splenium.
is the splenium. That's right. So what is this? I have to photograph all of these to freeze the arrow of time because they are oxidizing.
Yeah, I saw it on the other one. It's dark.
Yeah, so when I first sliced these some years ago, this was literally white matter. You know, in other words, it was really white. But after the first class in which I used this, 2 hours after the start of the first class, it was already a little on the beige side, and it'll gradually become more
So
oxidized.
he's older, he was sliced long ago, longer
Now,
ago?
this is an interesting thing for which we don't have a good explanation. When different brains are sliced, for some reason or other, not known yet, the gray matter oxidizes to a darker tone than in some brains that it does in other brains. So this had fainter gray originally. This has darker gray right from the beginning. And it oxidized to first a darker beige and then to brown. And then for some reason or other, the white matter hasn't, even though these are the same vintage, the white matter hasn't oxidized as much as it has in that one.
It has nothing to do with age of the picture.
Yeah, so, and now, since I don't know, these are anonymous brains.
Okay.
So I don't know how old they were, so I can't speak to that point.
How'd you slice them?
I used
Very sharp knife.
a knife called a brain knife, which looks like a kitchen spatula, except that it's extremely thin, and it's razor sharp all the way around. So it'll really, it'll drop through the brain very easily. Now, different brains can be sliced to different thicknesses. I was able to slice this one thinner than this one, because when I tried to slice this one as thin as I was able to slice that one, it began to crumble. So I had to back
But
off.
how do you hold it? Like, how do you hold it?
Like a
It's a
loaf of
slippery
bread.
little sucker, no?
Yeah, you hold it like a loaf of bread.
Oh my gosh.
And then there is a brain jig, as it's called, which consists of a number of wire hoops. You can insert the brain. Yeah, that's right.
Slicer.
Except that in this case, you stick the brain beneath the hoops and you put the blade in between two of the hoops, and it helps you keep the blade in the same plane.
Right.
You don't
That's the
get
way that's done.
horizontal,
Or oblique.
oblique.
Well, you can, because since the Piamata is on, it's hard to see the gyri and sulci, so you have to guess at where the median sagittal plane is exactly. And as a result of that, it may end up being sliced a bit on the oblique side, as these were. That's why you see the slices in Haynes are oblique, more or less. Once you make the first slice,
You'll
and if
know.
it's oblique, then all the others have to be parallel to that, so then they're all going to be oblique. Okay?
First cut is the deepest and the most important.
That's what I've heard.
Okay, so now,
The bread
also
slicer
note the
bakery.
following. Now, you have to look closely to see this at this point. Here we see that.
Okay. Occipital, parietal, sulcus.
Correct. That's what it is. You can see the parietal occipital sulcus over there.
Sulcus.
And then here, notice there's a region
switching diseases.
of gray, not the brown.
You know how we roll.
So, notice that this is, let's do this one first. Look at those areas. Now notice this space over here, and then notice those areas of brown, which used to be gray. And the question is, what are those?
Look ahead of the
Head of the caudate.
Yeah, that's correct. So look at
Repeat
that,
what you just said to the group.
What do we?
the head of the caudate nucleus.
Okay.
See that?
On the cruise you did.
I didn't have a choice.
Because your mother brought up.
The head of the caudate nucleus.
head of the caudate.
See that? Yeah. And then what's the space medial to that? Lateral ventricle. Now, where it's going off obliquely over there are anterior horns. Okay. Now there's you can see, now this is oblique because you can see
Here's where I come in.
this gray on this side over here, but not on that side. This side it's a little lower. That's correct.
You proud of me?
Yes. The putamen, but I can't get
Let me see
people
where it
to
is.
not answer, before everyone has seen.
Which one?
The putamen. There's a little bit of putamen.
Control your urge.
See, now this side is a little higher because
Right, you don't
we
see
don't
it.
see putamen. So this is slightly oblique because we see a bit of putamen on this side, you see right over there, but not on that side. So it's heads of caudate nuclei, anterior horns of the lateral ventricle, posterior horns. Okay?
The putamen's really hard to see because it's all the same squishy color as everything else.
Yeah, but I think it's
Squishy brown, cutie brown,
it's just visible, right? You can see some darker tissue over there.
That's not like the cellular bridges though with the, because it's got like those grooves going across.
Yeah, so there are,
Okay, it is.
I wouldn't ask them on this though because they're so faint.
Mm-hmm.
There are some.
Okay, so we can say that's the putamen, the squishy color.
Now, just remember what this one looks like,
It's got a worm in it.
and then I'm going to show another one.
Brain worms.
That linear entity that you saw was actually a blood vessel forming around.
Oh, that's a blood vessel? I was going to ask you what that was.
That's right. So look at this one again. I want to show another one to compare with this one. Just look at this one again.
Okay.
Now I'm going to show another one. We'll put this down for one moment. And see where that is. It's here. Okay, so now the question is, but don't answer right away.
Don't answer right away.
What is the relationship of this one to the previous one that you were looking at, but don't say anything right away? So just stare at that for a moment.
Okay.
So what is the relationship of this one to the previous one that you were looking at?
Ooh, I don't know.
More.
Now, don't say anything right away. Let me show it down over
Okay,
here
I thought
first.
everyone down here saw it.
What is the relationship of this one to the previous one you were looking at? Now you can go ahead and answer.
More inferior.
I think
Yeah,
this
it is more inferior. Now, how do you know that?
Because
these
we're
things are
getting
getting
a
bigger.
narrowing.
More of the lateral ventricle.
Yeah, we have a narrowing of corpus
Also, the
callosum.
body of the corpus callosum is disappearing.
Yeah.
That too.
And then the
We're
next
also
one
getting
down,
some
the body
caudate.
will be gone. You'll only have the
Septal
forceps
callosum.
left.
We got some caudate coming through.
More caudate nucleus.
Head of the caudate. Nucleus.
See that the body of the corpus callosum is dropping out.
Okay. And what, you can see more of the putamen, you said, too?
Yes, you can see more putamen, but the most obvious thing is not more putamen, but that the body of the corpus callosum is dropping out. Remember that in a median sagittal plane, the corpus callosum is shaped
is
like
on the next
this.
page.
With genu, body, and splenium. So
Do you see this?
As you come more inferior,
when you
you're
get
getting
lower, then you end up with just
see the thing?
the forceps, and no body. Well, we're almost at that point.
Okay, got it.
Here, see that? Yeah, and you can see more of the anterior and posterior horns of the lateral ventricles. And then what's appearing over here? Now pay attention to this. Pay attention to this.
Lateral sulcus.
That's What's appearing over here?
Insula.
The lateral sulcus.
Lateral sulcus.
This is like, I just can't even believe what's happening to me.
Okay,
It's actually getting stored into my neurological database.
that's right.
I got that.
Where are your keys?
Okay. Now, let's go to this. This one needs a lot of fluid.